trading is an accumulation of your entire career. And so whenever you take that one trade, whether it's good or bad, remember, it doesn't matter. It's just one trade. It's not about the big winner. No one became a millionaire because they took one. Okay, unless you invested in GameStop back, when was that? 2 or 3 years ago? You are not going to be wealthy because of one trade. And let's be honest, most of those people who became wealthy on that one trade proceeded to lose all of it trying to follow that high and trying to make more money.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading, and in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets, but we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Anarchy Trading Podcast. Well, on Monday, Levi threw down the gauntlet. Levi decided that it would be a good idea to turn this whole thing into a competition where we got to see which brother had the better performing podcast. And I got to say, I don't know. I do think Levi is a better podcaster than I am, but as the older brother, I have to admit, there's some pride in this, right? As the older brother, I was very disappointed growing up when I went off to Africa for 6 months, came back and found out that my brother, who I had left a mere, 2 or 3 inches shorter than me, was now a solid 2 to 3 inches taller than me, and, ended up a solid 4 inches taller than me. And add on top of that, he played the piano beautifully and seemingly overnight. And okay, so let's be honest, maybe if you feel bad for me, let's try to make this podcast perform better than Levi's, just because, let's be honest, guys, I need the ego boost. I am the oldest brother. I'm supposed to be better at everything, right? And Levi has the photographic memory and everything else. And I just need a little bit, I need a bone thrown to me. So help us out. Let's see if we can boost this podcast and beat Levi's numbers. That being said, a great podcast, Levi. And I actually wanted to add in that, yeah, like I've been traveling, it's been a very busy week. My kid, we just finalized his adoption. He's been with us for almost 10 years, and we finalized his adoption this week. And it's been so many years in the making. So it's been super exciting for us as a family to be able to officially have all of our kids adopted, and we are now able to travel. So next step is, applying for visas right now, because they can't get U.S. citizenship for a couple of years. So applying for visas and hopefully coming back to the States for Christmas. So that would be the plans. But anyway, I digress, because now we actually need to get into essentially the meat of this podcast, so to speak. And honestly, what I got for this podcast was essentially a saying. So, talking about growing up here, there was my favorite movie of all time growing up was called The Climb. It's a Christian movie, but even if you're not a Christian, if you're a rock climber, it's a great movie. It's about these two mountain rock climbers that essentially go to scale this mountain that's never been climbed before. And in the movie, my brothers and I could quote it word for word growing up. There's a saying, go big or go home. Well, that got me thinking about trading. And yeah, here we are with another analogy. But the fact is, in trading, I have found something that when I go big, or should I say, when I win big, I then usually end up going home afterwards, as in I start sucking afterwards. And it's a really weird phenomenon. And it's what I want to discuss today, because I'm going to take you back to my first funded account. So I had been trading and very slowly and methodically building up my trading account, and it was a prop firm. So it took me I think probably 2 or 3 months of careful trading to pass phase 1 of my prop firm account. And then it came to phase 2, and I did well. And then I had some drawdown. Then I did well, had some drawdown, and then had a period of some really couple bad weeks where I was down in drawdown, I don't know, 6 or even 7% or something like that. And then it happened. The trade that Levi was talking about on Monday, where it went for 20R or 30R if he had taken it. Well, I got one of those trades. I took a trade and it just kept going and going and going. And I think I took it for probably something around 8 or 9R. And then the next day, took another trade, took it for another 8 or 9R, passed phase 2 of my challenge, and then promptly proceeded to suck at trading for the next month or two and blew my funded account. And I think there's something interesting, and I think we've alluded to it on this podcast before, because the fact is, when you win these trades, as Levi was saying on Monday, when you get these big winners, yeah, sure, it's exciting. But when those trades go against how you typically train or trade, it messes with your brain, because think, your brain is wired in such a way that if something good happens, it equates success with what you did, right? So I did this, I got a big reward, thereby this is the way to trade moving forward. So even if those trades, like, listen, I honestly normally trade, as Levi said, I usually trade 1.5, honestly 1 to 1.5, sometimes 2, but I like to think Levi's almost maybe copying me a little bit, or am I copying him? I don't remember which one of us started that first, but honestly, we've always, for quite a while, we've both traded pretty small risk to reward ratios. And the fact is, those two trades went against that, right? I let him run because I'd been listening to this day trader who talked about letting his runners run or his winners run. And so I tried it. And guess what? It worked really well for me for those 2 days. And I passed my challenge in literally 2 trades. And I was down in like 7% drawdown. Like, I think I made 15% in 2 days. And that was great. But guess what? Because now my brain went, oh, I did that. And I made a bunch of money. I got great risk to reward, and I passed my account. When I went back to try to trade my normal 1-to-1 or 1.5, there was just a dissonance that made it so I was unable to take normal trades like I had been consistently for the previous, 4, 5, 6 months before then. And so it's really something that I kind of just wanted to bring your attention to, because a lot of times I think as traders, our brain is it's trained to recognize patterns. It's trained to follow the thrill, right? If something is successful or makes us feel good, our brain tends to then go after that thing. And so it's honestly, I would say, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I honestly think it's a dangerous thing. That's why I said, when it's like win big and then go home. I mean, if you win big trading, but that's not your trading style, it's going to make you go home or blow accounts in the short term. And that's really because, again, your brain is constantly trying to figure out how it can avoid pain and seeking pleasure. So those big wins, oh man, they're pleasureful. All right. Like, quite the high. I think my wife would probably tell you how excited and how elated I was. Now, again, should I have been excited and elated? No, they went against my typical trading style. Was it sustainable in the long run? No, it wasn't. And now, fortunately, as Levi and I discussed maybe a couple weeks ago, trading's kind of boring. But at that time, it wasn't. And that thrill, though, and those 2 big wins caused me to go on to lose for about 4 months. It took me 4 months of trading after those 2 big wins, and looking at my journal and being accountable and having to start an accountability texting group with with Levi and with my wife in it, to be able to overcome that and get back to being a profitable trader, because it messed with my brain that much. Now, honestly, is that going to happen with everyone? No, it's not. Because let's be honest, there's some people that will just be able to go, oh yeah, I took a big trade, great. Or, hey, I modified my style a little bit, knew I shouldn't have done it, but now I'm going to change it. But the fact is, I wasn't able to do that. And so it kind of really has made me look at how I trade, currently, because with these big winners, I love them. They feel good. And yeah, you can pass your accounts in 1 or 2 or 3 trades. But for me, it's just against my style. And I think that kind of fits in with Levi, as Levi said. It was then chasing those big wins that then made me honestly throw out a bunch of rules, have to essentially go back to the drawing board and restart it. So my challenge for people is to stick to the rules, stick to the basics, stick to what you know works, because that is where the money is made. The money is not made in the big R to R win. As Levi said, like, okay, we kick ourselves when we lose a 1 to 20 trade or something where if we had left it running, we could have just made $1 bazillion, right? But remember, trading is not about one trade. It's not about one day. It's not about 1 week. It's not about even 1 month or 1 year. Trading is literally an accumulation of a lifetime, whatever your lifetime may be. I mean, honestly, most of the people listening to this podcast, the data shows that you're between 28 and 40. Honestly, a bit older than I was expecting. Like I was expecting a few more younger people. But anyway, I digress. The fact is, trading is an accumulation of your entire career. And so whenever you take that one trade, whether it's good or bad, remember, it doesn't matter. It's just one trade. It's not about the big winner. No one became a millionaire because they took one. Okay, unless you invested in GameStop and got some really good option trades at GameStop back when was that 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever the big GameStop run was, okay, you could have become a millionaire there. But for the most part, you are not going to be wealthy because of one trade. And let's be honest, most of those people who became wealthy on that one trade then proceeded to lose all of it trying to follow that high and trying to make more money. And so don't chase the high, right? Be content with the little wins. As Levi said, those 1-to-1 trades. Just take it. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Take that 55, that 60% win rate and build up your account little by little. Because guess what? If you build up your account little by little, you're going to lose your account little by little. And so it's going to be much more stable. And so to tie it, I figured I just wanted to share that because I felt it really tied in with what Levi was sharing. And it's something that affected me a lot that I hope maybe some people can avoid by listening to this. And well, hey, I still do occasionally let a trade run. I'm not doing it chase the thrill. It's like usually I'll say, whatever, I'll move it to break even, let it run. And again, at this point when trading is boring, like sometimes it's like, what the heck? I'll just let it run. If it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, great. But take the little wins. Enjoy those little wins. Enjoy that daily process. And if you do that in the long run, you will be essentially guaranteed to be successful. It'll definitely take you longer than you hope for, but you will be successful in the long run. And that's what counts.